Hey. Welcome back to New York Times bestselling The People's Duchess. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope your week is going well. Oh, what a week, huh? What a week. What a week. What a feast. We are really having a good time. As far as Megan's Instagram is concerned, ooh, what was that? Look, that's my Siri. Oh, Siri, not now, girl. I didn't ask for you. Okay. So, as far as Megan's Instagram, she's obviously in New York with her husband for the Time 100 keynote speech that she's delivering. That is being probably done right now. It is 4 o'clock p.m. PST, so probably took place a little bit earlier. And then, as we discussed in the last live stream, it'll be broadcasting next month. So I'm super excited for that. But Meghan has been giving us gems, y'all. She has been dropping gems behind the scenes on her Instagram. I am so excited for this. I am so excited for this. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot even. There we go. Like, hello. I cannot even with all of the things that we're getting off of her Instagram. Now, first and foremost, I want to get into a couple of different things. This is going to be a little bit of a different live stream today because we have some topics that I think really parallel everything that she was discussing in her sit down with that lovely young lady that she was talking to. Self respect has been an underlying theme for Meghan all this time, even I think back to Spare. So, if you read Spare, you know that Prince Harry told the story about how he and Meghan were chatting one night and he was annoyed and irritated about something that had nothing to do with her. And then he said something cruel to her, something unnecessary and very like out of place and inappropriate. And she was just like, oh, okay, well then bye, And I think he said that she went upstairs, and a couple minutes later he went ahead and came back and apologized, and she was like, yeah, you need some help. Hey, Aris, welcome to the chat. Happy Thursday. Hope you are having a wonderful week and a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. What I really like the most about Meghan is that she is showing women, specifically and particularly Black women, that it is not only okay to love and put yourself first, but it is important and necessary. You have to put yourself first. This is what it looks like when you put yourself first. It is not selfish, it is not self centered, it is not full of yourself or any of the other adjectives that they use. Is adjectives the right word? No, that's not the right word. Descriptive words that they use to try to denigrate women who do like themselves. Oh, she thinks she's all that. Oh, she's so full of herself. Oh, she thinks she's this, she thinks she's that. And the woman, most of the time, is all that. She is all that. She should think highly of herself because she looks amazing and she deserves to. So I think that, oh my God, come on now. I gotta disable Siri. I feel like I gotta disable Siri because she acting crazy right now. Hey, Kathy G, welcome to the chat. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, hon. But yeah, so Meghan took the stage and she was talking about her podcast and about life and about everything that's been happening with her launch and just her really busy princess slash mom slash CEO slash baddie slash influencer life. She was gushing about her family, her husband, her children. And this quote stuck out to me. A confession for you today that I can very comfortably say is that I'm the happiest I've ever been to have a partner and a husband who is so supportive and healthy and have healthy kids who are so joyful. I never would have imagined at this point I would feel so happy and grateful. And I really do. And I love this quote from Meghan because, again, someone might see this and say, oh, well, start huffing and puffing. But what's wrong with saying this? What's wrong with admitting that you're happy? What's wrong with admitting that you're grateful? What's wrong with admitting that you're joyful and everything is going well for you now? Especially contrasted against the life that she came from not 5, 6 years ago. It's a very stark difference from wanting to end things to being the happiest you've ever been in a 5 year period is a wonderful turnaround. And you just know every time Meghan says that she's happy, a royal aide or a royal rota loses its wings. Every time she comes out looking like this, sounding like that, saying what she said, some demon over there in Kensington Palace spontaneously combusts. Hey, cookies and cream. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so this is so good, y'all. This is so good. Megan gave us a BTS. And again, I think that this is also what they hate, what they absolutely hate, that they are not able to monopolize and capitalize and extract all of this from her first, filter it as negatively as possible, and then put it out. They would have spun that into Megan confessed that she had a bunch of things that went wrong in her life. They would have just made it seem like it was something it was not. We wouldn't have had that behind the scenes. We wouldn't have had all of the personal, you know, input from her. And it's just really wonderful. Iris Wood, Megan went through a terrible smear campaign. I thank God she overcame, but I know the support of the squad helped. Man, let me tell you something. The other thing I really love about this woman is that she acknowledges our role in this entire thing. Insignificant as the naysayers and the detractors try to make it seem, they know that we are the force that we are. They are in our chats. When I was on Twitter, there would always be several lurking and then some even bold enough to come up there and talk. But whenever I was in Twitter spaces, there would always be several anonymous deranger accounts or fake Megan accounts that, was pretending to be a squatty in our chats. And there'd be hundreds of us in those chats. So they know our power. They know how much we have influenced the conversation and the dialogue around Meghan, and especially during that period of between 2019 to around 2020 when they left and thereafter. They wanted to saturate the market with nothing but negative news about her. And had it not been for us, she didn't have her own socials yet. They didn't have um, anything that they could really tell their side of the story on. They had Sussex Royal, but they couldn't really speak their side of the story through Sussex Royal. So we were the ones bringing up all of the receipts. We were the ones that were telling people this woman has never had a single problem in her life. And now she's got 99 of them all of a sudden, overnight between 2016 and 2017, overnight, she's got 99 problems now. And why do you think that is? We were the logic, we were the brains and the relevancy that brought the people on the ledge back down to earth. And Meghan herself has acknowledged the squad. She has thanked us publicly for our efforts, not just with her I think with her defending her, but also with the fundraising efforts that we really mobilize when it comes time. When it comes to CamFed, when it came at the time to Sentabale, when it came at the time to her 40 by 40 challenge, we mobilized and we raised funds, and she thanked us by name for that and then matched the funds that we raised. So I know that Meghan also knows that we're here and we appreciate her. Let's see, cookies and cream. That ungodly family is probably bouncing off the wall with envy and anger. They don't have any control over the Sussexes or the narrative. I would agree 100%. They don't even want this. They don't want this. They don't want to be running around working. That's the crazy part about it. They want the accolade. They want the respect. They want the global statesmanship. But do you know how Meghan even got here? She got here by using the money she made from her day job to do the humanitarian job that she actually had a passion for. The royals don't have a passion for humanitarian work. They have a passion for money, power, and control. So it's weird to me that they do have so much anger and so much envy. You couldn't do this and you don't even want to do this. So it's just strange. What a tortured existence. Look at this. Just look at, wait, hold on. Ma'am, ma'am. And this is Meghan just waking up with a little bit of liner, a little bit of mascara, a bit of gloss, a little rouge on the cheeks. So you hate this with a passion, but that hate is deeply rooted in the fact that you couldn't achieve this if you tried, and you have tried. Don't say that you are not interested in achieving any of this. You have done your darndest. You have done your best. You have sat up there and stumbled through 2-minute speeches to try to convince everyone that you are on par with this. You have done your best, and it didn't work. No one's talking about it. No one remembers it. No one knows what the heck you guys say. Pull up a notable quote from anyone in the royal family. The only quote that you will ever pull up are Diana's. You will pull up Princess Diana quotes. There are several of them. You might pull up a couple from Queen Elizabeth. I remember, I think one of her most famous speeches, or one of her most famous quotes, is that you have to be seen to be believed. But that's pretty much the only quote that I can recall just off the top of my head from anybody. Princess Diana said a whole lot. I want to be the Queen of Hearts. I have a lot of love to give. You can hug someone and that might change their life. There's a lot of things that I could just rattle off the top of my head that Princess Diana said. There's a lot of quotes that you can quote that Meghan has said, but you will not find a single quote that Kate or William or Charles or Camilla or any other royal has said, despite the fact that they've given numerous speeches. Look at this. They're trying to achieve this, and they couldn't if they tried. And I really love how everybody was like, "Oh, she's gonna be flying out there without Harry." You know, she's gonna be going solo to New York, and da, 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 da. And then these pictures dropped. And the funny thing is, they never retract it. They never retract the articles to say we were stupid and just guessing and pulling things out of our butt because we wanted to write a story. They won't retract those stories. They would rather just look dumb. They would rather see these pictures and say, you know what, F it. I still want people to think that she was going without Harry. I don't give a darn that he's there and it's easily disproved. I don't care. I'm not going to correct anything. Just malicious. Just malicious. All right. I remembered in the earlier times they thought the squad was being paid. I'm on the payroll. I don't know about you, but Meghan pays me $1 million a minute to do this. So stupid. We're still doing here for her. Yeah, yeah. Because you know what? It's because in their minds, they can't fathom anyone doing anything for anyone just out of the goodness of their heart. They have no idea what that feels like, looks like, nothing. Even in their own quote unquote friend circles, you've got friends like the Marchioness of Chumley who is allegedly banging your man. Like, what kind of friends are those? They hate each other over there. They do not like each other. They do not trust each other. They know who their fans are. You know, in contrast to us on Twitter, they see who Kate's fans are on Twitter, and her fans aren't even real fans. They're just racist people that look for the opportunity to be racist openly in the name of Kate. So I wouldn't claim that. I would not be online and then be impressed by the things. If I were her or if I were William, I would not be impressed by the things that the people that say they like me online are saying and doing, because they're not even focused on them. The very big glaring obvious elephant in the room there is that they never ever talk about the people that they so-called like. So yeah, of course, there's no way that they think that we just genuinely like Meghan enough to support her and defend her. They can't believe something like that because they themselves has never experienced it. And this is how they act. I've talked to several people in real life who don't believe something is happening because it hasn't happened to them. How many racist folks do you guys know or that you've encountered that say racism isn't a thing? I've never been discriminated against. Dude, you're a cishet white guy. What are you talking about? Like, who would be doing the discrimination against you? Who? Tell me who. As the apex predator, who's going to be preying on you out there? It's ridiculous. So their arguments are all very disingenuous. And again, it's very telling that the body of their support contains nothing but vitriol towards Meghan and Harry, and nothing in the way of actual support of any of the other royals. Cookies and cream, the well-coordinated assault by that ungodly family to tear Meghan down and sabotage her projects backfired. Girl, worse than the Trump tariffs, girl. Worse than the tariffs, because they really thought they were doing something. They thought they had all the power in the world. And to an extent, they did. To an extent. But I think that what they did was grossly underestimate and miscalculate the power of love and goodness and just the times. The times have really changed from Diana's day. Back in the 90s, that's how they really, really got Diana in the place that she was in, because they relied on the fact that there wasn't this worldwide web and interconnectedness. People couldn't just Google something to check and verify and make sure it was true. And because they were the media and in a certain vein respected, people just thought, oh my gosh, all these, there was just no way to counter that. Now, thankfully, there's a lot of change that's come about just with the social consciousness and the mentality of people, but also between us, the interconnectedness that we have. Quickly verify things at the drop of a hat. So, and again, luckily, Meghan had a career and a life and everything, and not one single negative thing was ever written about her prior to 2016. Nothing. I could not find nothing. So they try to make things up. They try to say, oh, she was doing this and that and the other. And all you have to do is go back to the time period that they're talking about, and that's easily disproven. So now all they can do is stand 10 toes in their wrongness and lie and absorb the embarrassment when they're caught in a lie. Them saying that Harry was being left at home and Meghan was going to travel alone, they'd rather leave that article up and be embarrassed and just stand in that embarrassment than correct it. But luckily, yeah, backfires all the time because they don't know anything, and it's completely clear that they don't know anything anymore. Guiane, welcome to the chat. Happy Thursday. Good evening to you where you're at. Where are you, Guiane, that it's evening? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Guiane? I like that name. It's very pretty. But yeah, so Meghan's doing her thing, Time 100. She's recording for the weekend. She shows up in this beautiful, absolutely stunning Ralph Lauren set. And okay, y'all know me, I've done a lot of these fashion geared breakdowns in the past. And if you've ever seen any of them, you know that wide leg pants are not my thing. Even on Megan, I've always said that, she's just too petite and, da 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 da. But this is the exception to the rule. She looked like, gold bullion. Okay. I can't even say $1 million. This is $1 billion look. This is how you look when you run $1 billion empire. Talk about boss babe. Talk about the vibes. It's just so good. It's just so good. Everything, head to toe. And the hair, I don't know what color this is, but Katie Lee, you snapped. Okay, highbrow hippie, you've snapped on this hair. It's just so perfect with everything all together is just perfect. Um, Doing a little fashion breakdown, as you know, we gonna do. This was the Ralph Lauren Russell silk linen tweed twill jacket with the wide leg trousers. This is how they styled it on their site. I love the way they styled it too. Had she worn the accompanying vest, that would have also been cute, but I love that she broke it up with the white. Perfection. A lot of people miss that little detail about the sleeves on the blouse, which I love. This was a very unexpected sleeve moment because she was wearing her jacket in the first official pictures. She had on her Ralph Lauren calfskin belt and her trusty Manolo Blahnik BBs. I love her stack. The stack is her normal Cartier stack, and she's wearing Diana's heirloom tennis bracelet with it. And then these Tabayer Aura earrings, which we've seen her wear several times. I believe the first time was at the Invictus Games in Sydney, where she had on that like maroon burgundy peplum shirt situation with the black legging jeans. And she looked really cute, and her hair was like half up, half down. Yeah, I believe that was the very first time we saw these earrings, and they're still just doing what they need to do. In this BTS video that she released, we saw a little bit more of the detail. Let me pull that up so we can all see it together. Hold on. Here we go. Y'all, y'all. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Megan looked so beautiful, so radiant, glowing, just ethereal. Absolutely freaking insane how good this woman looks. And I really love that behind all of this glam, behind all the beauty, are the brains to back it up. She ain't just showing up, waving her hand, yada, yada. I love that there's an interview that she did, I think it was circa 2016 or so, where she was wearing all black. She had on these like black leatherette jeans or leggings and then like a black top. And she was saying that she doesn't want to just show up somewhere and wave and smile. She wants to really put her thumbprint on it and make sure that she has a hand in the actual day-to-day management of the thing, which I think also rubs the royals the wrong way. She didn't know any of them at the time, and that wasn't a dig to the royals, how they noticeably just show up and smile and wave. She really meant it. She really meant it. She said, I don't want to just be a part of a project that I'm going to be the face of. They just throw me up there and I'm just a pretty face to look at and say, oh, okay, I might just participate. No, she wants to be able to put her project management skills to use. And that's what the royals are also very upset about. When she got there, she had a lot of project management skills, a lot of real world application, client facing application skills. And I don't understand, I'll never understand how that was a threat to them. They could have really, really benefited and maximized those skills. But clearly just chose to go in another direction. And everything that she touches turns to gold. And you can't do that. You can't achieve that with just a pretty face. There are many, many a women who are gorgeous and stunning and everything that you could possibly imagine when you think of a beautiful woman. And I think that we tend to think of those women as like, oh, they can have anything that they want. But for every gorgeous, stunning celebrity that you see, there's 10,000 gorgeous, stunning women who are living in poverty, don't really have their lives together, whatever the case might be. So it really takes a combination of having the right looks, sure, gets you into the door, but then being able to stay in that room, it takes a certain level of gumption and brains. If you go into the archives, there's an episode that I did where it was during the first term of this president, and his daughter and him went to the G6 or G7 summit. I don't remember what summit it was, but everybody was so pained talking to them. I mean, literally had pain in their face, rolling their eyes, diverting their eyes, trying not to look at them. Just the body language said everything. And I hate to, browbeat Kate Middleton or anything, but the substance that everyone wished were there wasn't. And that's why she's not at Diana level now. That's why she's in the station and in the place she is now, because people can say whatever they want. They can pretend that she's some, high and mighty, da, 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 but she's not. And it's evident that she's not. It's completely evident that she's not, in the fact that you're not seeing her everywhere. You're not seeing a bunch of people gushing over her every day. All you ever see when you see a Kate Middleton fan page, all you really ever see is Meghan this, Meghan that, Meghan this, Meghan that. They don't have Kate on a pedestal. They want her on the pedestal. But unfortunately for them, Meghan is on the pedestal that they've prepared for Kate. And they hate that. They hate that because you can't do nothing about that. You personally can't do anything to fix that. You see Meghan and you think, gosh, this woman is very high up. And she's earned it. And they know she's earned it. They know Meghan deserves it. But again, I think that there's a lot of misogyny here too, because a lot of people just don't think women deserve to be that high up, that high ranking, put in that type of place among, CEOs. And when you're talking about business and good, smart business sense, they don't like that Meghan is also very business savvy. Whereas I believe the queen liked her ethics. That is where the jealousy started. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The royalty is that the queen did not like that her first granddaughter in law, next in line to the throne, was not particularly work savvy, didn't have particularly good real world application skills as far as work were concerned, and perhaps told her so. Just like when they did the royal tours and everybody was like, this is so boring. This is so terrible. Oh my gosh. What are we supposed to do with this? That's how they used to talk about them pre Meghan. Meanwhile, if you go back in Meghan's history, everything that she did was gushed about by the persons that she did it with. Every movie, all her co stars, every project, all the soup kitchen workers that she worked with, anyone that she worked with, when they got asked about Meghan, gushed, absolutely gushed about not only her beauty, but how intelligent she was, how smart she was, how welcome she made them all feel, how much above and beyond she went for them and the project, how in depth she is, how layered she is, how multifaceted she is. You can't fake that. And if that's the case, I mean, Why aren't they faking that now for William and Kate? William has done several projects. He, staged a food truck thing at some point. Where are the people that he staged that food truck thing with, gushing about their experience with him? Where are the Earthshot people talking nonstop on social media about their encounter with him? Where? Where are these people? Where are all of the people, Tom Cruise, who appears to be a very, very good friend? Where's he at? Why isn't he always dropping William's name into a conversation thoughtfully and reminiscing fondly? You don't hear nothing, because it's one thing to do this whole like, oh, I'm gonna act like I'm this showman and put on this show, fly David Beckham out here. But it's another thing to make people feel a certain way, to make them go out of their way to tell other people, specifically and particularly on social media, that they had this encounter with you. That's genuine. Have you guys seen the As Ever page as of late? They're posting genuine stories. People are inspired, genuinely inspired. Meghan isn't paying these people to produce UGC for her. If you're not familiar with UGC, that's user generated content. It's a very popular marketing mechanism for content creators. Get this into the hands of an influencer, pay them some money, make them make a post, let that post go viral. Ipso facto, you've got a lot of business coming towards you. Meghan isn't paying these people to do this. All of the As Ever, big stuff that you've seen on social media, if you go on TikTok right now and just search bar her name with As Ever, you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of posts of people making her cakes, making her cookies, making stuff with the flowers and the honey, showing off their Le Creuset, specifically in response to Meghan's show. That is not user generated content that she has paid anybody to make. That is the power of Meghan's brand and her personality, her herself. We love her herself, regardless of what brand she's on. We're going to support it because it's coming from such an amazing place. And yeah, cookies and cream, you said it earlier, that coordinated assault really backfired because all it did was make us all double down. That's all it did. And they're probably even still till today shuffling around and wondering what else they can do, what other bit of, who else can they dig up and try to, and it's just like, bro, haven't you figured out by now that nothing you say or do, this is 5 years on, it's not going to work unless you have a video of her punching a dog in his face. I don't want to hear it from you people. I don't want to hear your made up nonsense about how her hair wasn't perfect or her this wasn't that or whatever the case might be. Why would we believe you? Why would we believe you over common sense, over our own two eyes, over Meghan's history, 35 years of history prior to going in there? Why would we believe any story that you, a racist, horrifying demon, in a country that she hasn't lived in 5 years and only lived in for 18 months, why would we believe you about anything? Just because you have a microphone and a camera pointed towards you, you that has never even been in a room with her knows what you're talking about. All right. Sure, Jan. Cookies and cream, that ungodly family really made a serious blunder by chasing the Sussexes, particularly Meghan, away. They're never returning to that vile, sadistic, toxic, diabolical, hypocritical institution. Never. And it's funny that they even pretend and write these articles about a path back into the fold. Harry could come. What did he say? He said no. Anderson Cooper, I believe it was. It could have been Michael Strahan, but I think it was Anderson Cooper. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Asked him, "Do you see yourself in any scenario ever going back. And before he could even get the sentence out, Harry was like, no, no, with a quick no and a firm head shake. No. Why would he? It brings to mind the proverb, you cannot heal in the place that broke you. Go back for what? And I think a lot of people say that because they are just the types of people that the royals are, just obsessed with money and have no real true connections or friendships or morals or values or anything. It's all just how much money, how much power, how much we can extract from everybody around us. All of these Rhoda people, you think they like William? William seems like the most insufferable Karen, more so than his wife, more than Kate. William is a Karen of all Karens because he's been so, power hungry his whole life. He's been so obsessed his whole life with just being seen as the man because his family has told him his whole life he's the man. So he's now looking outward for that validation, and he's furious that nobody thinks that way about him. Nobody thinks that way about him. Do you think people genuinely like William for his personality? What personality? When has he ever shown personality? The only time I've ever seen William show any type of personality is when they asked him in that interview what his favorite emoji was, and he said the eggplant. He was so stupid. Hey, Olivia Johnson, welcome to the chat, huh? Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, okay, that was Anderson Cooper. Thank you so much for confirming. So, the only time I've ever seen William show a scrap of personality was when they asked him that question and he answered truthfully. And he even said, oh, they told me not to say this, but I'm going to say it. Like, why would you say that if they told you not to say it? They tried to give you a piece of very sound media training, right? Stop thinking about your pants. Stop thinking about that. Stop thinking about that. Get your head out of the gutter and answer the questions that they're going to ask you professionally. This is a professional interview, and he couldn't even do that. He couldn't even do that. He was like, well, they told me to answer professionally, but I'm just going to go ahead and be ratchet. Let me be ghetto and give you the ghetto answer, the aubergine. And it's like, why would you even say that? But that's his personality. That's his character. So think about the men that make crass jokes like that all the time. Think about the guys that you know that would also say the eggplant emoji was the emoji that they use the most. Think about the men that use that eggplant emoji all the time. Would you be happy to be around that kind of man? He seems really disgusting. William, his real inner personality seems very gross, very disgusting, very chauvinist, very put everybody down. Nobody actually likes you. You're just future king. So suckling at the power teat requires a lot of, suckling at the power teat, saying things that aren't true. Yeah, William did stage that. I don't care what nobody say. We saw we saw the aftermath of that. He absolutely staged that whole burger thing for attention. He definitely staged Earthshot because he didn't even give a dang that the recipients were there. He only cared that the celebrities were there. Hey, Vindictive Tiger, Patricia Nixon, everyone joining the chat. Hello, hello. Yeah, don't forget William and Trump had their heads together in France about 6 weeks ago. Then all this drama fell out. And I think that it was more him trying to be a power player. It was more him trying to sidle up to people that he thinks would like him more. So, the racist right, sidle up to those individuals. And I don't know if that worked or not. I don't know how he's moving in those circles, but I don't see him nowhere. I don't see him getting rewarded for any of that. I don't see him anywhere. And even if he were, it wouldn't garner any attention. It would not garner any attention. We've seen what William's capable of, and a lot of people just tap out. They just opt out. He's not impressive. He's not special. There's nothing there. There's no pizzazz, there's no charisma, there's no charm. He's just standing there rattling off a bunch of words from a note card or a teleprompter. Like, how impressive is that? TNO, welcome to the chat. I don't believe the Sussexes could have met their full potential with half in, half out. That snaggletooth family would have still demonized them. It's a blessing they left. Oh, yeah. For sure. It would have been really impossible for them because no matter what Meghan did, had she just dipped her pinky toe out the door, it would have been front page news. You know what I mean? It would have been front page news had she just been in a ball cap pulled all the way down over her face in some sweats. It would have been front page news. And it would have been front page news on an important day, like Earthshot or something like that. Let's say she dared to venture out of her home on an important day for anyone else. They would have that would have been the whole focus. That would have been the whole news cycle. And perhaps they might report on the other royals in a little corner of page 13 or 14. They might have said, oh, and by the way, so and so did this thing. Because no matter what Meghan does, I mean, look at how she shows up. Just look at how she shows up. This is how she shows up. So even if she just showed up and didn't say anything, this would have been the front page everywhere. Cookies and cream, Harry is free. He now has the life he always wanted. He's definitely not going back. He's not going to subject his family to that craziness. Absolutely. And I made a comment the other day that I'm really proud of them about how they're raising their children. So the way that they're raising their children is extremely impressive to me in that they're able to include their children and show us their children and their lives and their day-to-day lives. It's really amazing how well they're doing, how kind those kids are. We've heard Archie plenty of times addressing his parents very respectfully, asking permission to do things. We've seen Lilibet cut a cake and hand it to her dad first. A lot of kids would just smash the cake into their face. They wouldn't have any concept of sharing in the way that we've seen her demonstrate. It's impressive. These are very young children. It's impressive that they have those manners. It's so impressive. We all know Harry used to give him heck. Okay, Harry did not care. Harry is very much a product of his environment. So we see the stark difference between, not just Harry, but the current royal children. I've seen plenty of tongues sticking out. I've seen plenty of tantrums in public. We all know what I'm talking about because he knows not only can he and Meghan not heal in the place that broke them, but those kids would be turned every which way but loose. They wouldn't have control. They would be pulled here and there and all the places and make sure that those kids have to have some kind of babysitting or something. And who knows what might happen? Who knows what a person might put into their head? Hey, Rhonda Bryant, welcome to the chat. Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well. All right, so William got his kicks from having Harry walk behind him. He's so much like Geoffrey. Oh my gosh. In those chats that we used to have, the name Jeffrey Baratheon came up all the time. It is so fitting. Crazy sadistic type stuff because that's the kind of man he is. I don't care what anyone says. As a man, and especially as a man with his already perceived power and everything else, sticking your finger in a woman's face, being close enough to a woman to stick your finger in her face while you're talking to her is violent. I don't care what anyone says. I do not care. You can debate me on that. That's violence, in my opinion, because if you can do that when people aren't looking, you could easily make contact with the face. Easily. If you're that angry to have your finger within inches of a woman's face, just no self-control. unbridled anger to sit there and beat up your brother over what? Well, I guess beating up is a bit of a stretch, but to be violent, to actually strike your brother, in fact, strike another person at all, it's violent. He's a violent man. He is a violent man. And it just goes to kind of underline the fact that he's just out of control, the rage, the anger. And I don't know, what is he even so angry about? They keep making this whole big fuss about how being a king is so his schedule's so busy and it's going to be so much pressure on them. They made a lot of fuss about how much pressure they were under after um, after Harry and Meghan left. Pressure from where? From whom? Nobody expected anything from you two. Nobody. From the time you got married, all they ever said was that you're too lazy to work and you're boring as all get out. So where's this pressure supposedly coming from? I want to put this back up because this was so cute. Oh, I love this so much. We can get a little bit more of the outfit details. But if anyone knows and can let me know in the chat, please let me know. Pressure from where? The press does not expect anything of you. They've already seen what you can do. We've already seen your capabilities. We know they are nil. You have nil capabilities. In the case of your wife, she can't even talk. Nobody expects anything of you two. So what pressure? From where? Why is he so mad? What is he so mad about? That is the most easy cruise control job there is. All you have to do is literally show up places. You're not doing any of the actual physical work. You're not setting up any of those event spaces. You're not pulling up any chairs and rows. You're not organizing anything. All of that is being done for you. All you have to do is show up. So what are you so angry about? Where is this perceived pressure coming from? Like, be real. Be for freaking real. You have the easiest job in the world, the most undeserved, easy cruise control, inherited, no skills needed, entry level. You don't even have to be able to say your name for this job. So I don't understand. And when you don't have the self-respect that Meghan has, you end up Kate. I can understand why she's angry because this is not what she signed up for. And because she has no self-respect, she's been embarrassed her entire life with this man. And because he is the future king of England, she feels like the trade-off is worth it. She feels like being queen is worth it. So she's willing to be embarrassed by him, be dumped over and over again, not have a job, sit around at home, wait for him, wait for him, wait for him for a decade, marry him. And then even after you marry him, he's always just leaving you in the dust, not paying attention to you. Your fights get so bad, you're throwing things, you're fighting, neighbors can hear. You feel like it's worth that because of his status. Fine. But you cannot tell me that a woman like that respects herself. I don't care that he's whoever he's supposed to be. You are being mentally anguished by that relationship. So much so that you had a mental breakdown and had to lie and say that it was cancer. Wee Willie wants to be a sports commentator or football manager, so he might be mad that he can't live as free as Harry. Bingo! That was my next point. Bingo. That's the gag. The gag is you don't even want that job. And it circles all the way back to what we said at the beginning of this stream. You couldn't do this if you tried. You can't do what Meghan and Harry does. You can't do what Meghan alone does. You can't. You said out of your own mouth that your daughter cried when she saw you with your beard because you don't even be around. Therefore, you can't even parent your own children. Thoughtless, of running a country, being a monarch, da 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 da. You can't even be a dad, which is ground zero, which is basics for a so-called father. You're supposed to be a father first, and then whatever other title you have comes after that. But since your daughter hadn't seen you in the weeks to month or so that it took to grow that beard out, that let us know that you can't even do that. You got other people raising your kids. And it's not like, your grandmother who was on tour for like, what was that, 6 weeks at a time and such. You were just not around, period. You just chose not to be there, to where she hadn't seen you in forever and then was surprised and negatively affected when she actually did see you after that time. So if you can't even parent your child, why the heck else would we think that you could do anything else? No one is expecting anything of you. You don't want that job. And you're mad because what you really want to do, which is just laze around, sports commenting would be perfect for him because all they do is just laze around talking about football. That would be your dream job. But you're too proud to say, to say you just want to do that. You're too proud to say that you don't have the wherewithal, the tools, the professional acumen to be a king, or what your version of a king is, because being a king looks like it's nothing. You just stand there and people drape you in jewels. Um, you can't even do that. Ours, Harry was a naughty baby. That's why we love him. Those cameras were getting on his nerves. Yeah. Harry was giving him hell. He was, man, he used to cut up on that balcony, everywhere in the car, anywhere he saw some cameras, he would basically flip him the bird. And it was hilarious. But that's how royal kids are raised. I've seen Charlotte do that, stick her tongue out in an audience. We've all seen Louis flip out. We've seen it. That's how royal kids are raised. You can't tame that. You can't tame that at all because parents are just too busy doing whatever. Vindictive tiger. Oh wait. And the sad thing is that Kate given Meghan a, that had Kate given Meghan a chance, they could have ruled that country as modern royal women, but no, jealousy. You know what, Vindictive Tiger, you could not be more right. That picture that that woman took of the four of them that first Christmas at Sandringham, she said it garnered her enough to redo her kitchen, her home. She had a nice little nest egg off of that picture. So she didn't tell us the amount, but if you have enough to remodel your home and have a nice little cushy nest egg off of one picture, oh, you were paid. You were paid out the wazoo. So imagine a single picture of the four of them like that changed someone's life, revolutionized someone's life like that. Kate didn't see that, and Meghan did. Meghan saw that. Harry saw that. They said, okay, yeah, let's make this thing work. Let's get some royal foundation stuff going. Let's do this. Let's do that. But Kate saw that and said, I have never gotten this type of notoriety. Nobody has ever paid hundreds of thousands of pounds for a picture of me. What made this particular person that took this picture, what made this picture so relevant? And they know it's because Meghan was in it. That's the only thing that had changed. The only difference was that Meghan was included in those pictures. Had Kate not Karened so hard, Kate and William, but had Kate and William not Karened so hard, they would be on the same pedestal as Harry and Meghan right now, specifically Meghan. They would be up there. They would have had a reason to be up there in the eyes of the people that wanted them up there so bad, because people wanted her up there. After they lost Diana and when William got married, the whole country had such goodwill and they were so excited about this new bride. Oh my gosh, the first new bride since Diana. It was exciting. But then when she started talking, people were like, oh. And then when it just didn't get better, people were like, And that's when the press really turned on them. When they saw that there was just nothing there, the lights were on, nobody was home. That's when they got disappointed with her. And then they started to see that that reflected poorly on William. They always liked William. Of course, he's, a shoo-in. He's the next king. Everybody's impressed with him. But then they said, wait a minute, why would William marry this kind of a woman? And that's when all the negative stories about William came out. How he was frivolously flying the royal plane just to go meet with Kate and her, like just all kinds of stuff started coming out. They were like, why would he marry this type of a person? So the jealousy really was their downfall because Meghan was their ticket to that type of notoriety that they wanted so bad. And they just couldn't get past the fact that they had to use her to get to it. They couldn't accept the fact that they didn't have it on their own, which is a shame, which is a real shame because I've said this 100 times, but if that were me, I would have pretended my butt off. Even if I were just, didn't like her, I was racist and jealous like Kate is, I would have pretended. I would have put all that aside because my eye would be on the prize, which is to get me to Diana status. And one of the things that everybody loved about Diana is how endearing she was around people of color, around individuals in the Commonwealth, how much love she showed them. There's a video I watched of her picking up this little child. I think he was Pakistani. I could be wrong, but it was in Pakistan. So I don't want to make any assumptions about the child. But from all accounts, he was this little Pakistani child, and he was crippled, and he had like a shaved head because he was suffering through cancer. And she literally grabbed him from somebody that was carrying him and carried him into her seat and just rocked and cradled him. And that's one of the most famous pictures. She was wearing very loose like hijab at the time. Just very famous picture. There's a lot of her famous pictures, like when she was shaking the man who had AIDS hand, and other pictures like that when she was stroking the face of that child in, forget the country, but her leg had been blown off by a landmine. So she was in a country that had suffered from landmines after the war. And a very famous picture is when she was stroking that child's face with her crutch, leaning up against her thigh and stroking the child's face with her hand. It was the famous pictures. People love that about Diana. They love that they could confidently say Diana doesn't have a racist bone in her body. You can't say that about Kate. In fact, you can say the exact opposite. You know Kate is racist as heck. And it's really just jealous, buried underneath superiority. It's jealousy, but in fact, she is. Even if you don't want to just tack that label onto her, the question of whether she is or not can be debated. There's a debate there at the very best, and at the worst, she's racist. So, I mean, like, had Kate just had her wits about her, it would have been so good for them. It would have been so good for them, but she didn't. And I don't know why anyone expected her to have her wits about her. There's nothing going on up there. The lights are on, nobody's home. Cookies and cream, Sir Peg-a-lot. That name always gets me. That name always sends me. Sir Peg-a-lot doesn't want to be a king because he knows that he's a clueless series of adjectives, irresponsible twerp. Is it adjectives? Y'all gotta tell me if I'm using that right. No, adjective is adjective. Yeah, adjective is the right word. Yeah, series of adjectives, apt and completely true adjectives, irresponsible twerp. Yeah, that's the thing about it. He's irresponsible. It was irresponsible of him and Kate, not just in the personal setting, but in a professional setting. This is the future of the monarchy. Charles had slimmed down the monarchy to be only them, him, his wife, his sons, and their wives, and then, Anne. But he slimmed down the monarchy. You had a professional responsibility to make sure that at the very minimum, the monarchy stays together. You could let go of the Commonwealth because they don't identify with you and you're throwing a tantrum over getting fired on national television in the Caribbean, fine. But at the very minimum, it was your job and your duty to keep the monarchy going. And you let jealousy override your professional duty to your country and to the crown. And how pathetic is that? Hey, Carmen. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. But that brings to mind, again, the issue of self respect, right? So I have seen a lot in the last couple of days. And one of the things that I've seen is this pastor and his wife. Let me bring that back up. So this pastor and his wife, the Kellys, no, the Steeles. So the Steeles are a pastor and wife couple. This lady has made headlines and gone viral because she has no self-respect. Absolutely none. Zero, zip, zilch, nada. This woman has said some things, and we're going to play a clip. We're going to play a couple of clips, and then we're going to discuss the contrast. This is what it looks like, you guys, when you have no self-respect and your husband isn't the future king of England. When he ain't worth a darn thing, okay? When you should have left him a long, long, long time ago for your own sanity and health. All right, so the mask has been removed. William knows he's not fooling us, so he don't care anymore. Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. He just doesn't care. So are you even ready to be a king and you can't even keep your own brother in the fold? Carol Smith, welcome to the chat. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. I am with you. Meghan to me looks better in a tailored suit because she's so petite. This suit was totally a statement. Love the color, looks amazing on her. Yeah, this was perfect. Oh my gosh, this was perfect. But yeah, so again, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I want to play this clip for you and we're going to go over it and then we're going to come back to the discussion.
This thing push, we're gonna have the baby. He was radically saved, going to church, living for Jesus, just changed his life completely. And then after we got married, about a couple months after we got married, he looked at me and said, I never had fun. And I didn't know what that meant. And literally, he backslid for 5 years. Yeah. So he left this holy lifestyle back to smoking, drinking, smoking weed, drinking, chasing women. We would fight. Our house became the party house because my relationship with Jesus was attached to him. So if he went to church, I went to church. If he didn't go to church, I didn't go to church. And it is a form of idol worship, which I know that now. But he was my connection to Jesus. So at that time, I was chasing with knives, trying to jump on hoods of cars, fighting women. That was kind of a common thing. We were living in Section 8 housing on food stamps, having children, and it got so crazy that one day I said, I can't do this anymore because someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to either go to jail or get killed. Seriously. So basically, Jasmine Sullivan, I broke the windows out your car was the theme song of your marriage. No problem. You over here jumping on hoods? Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. Finding him at clubs, confronting just the whole thing. So help me understand that. So what happened to where you find yourself on the hood? He's in the car? Yeah, trying to leave. Oh, so and he's in the car. He ain't with the woman. No. She would sometimes hide my keys and help me look for him. That's how bad it was. You would hide the keys and help him look for him? Yes, because I allowed God's voice to be louder than his. And when I was going through transition, him not coming home on the weekends, not being there, telling me I hate you, I'll never love you, I wish I never married you. I knew that life and death is in the power of the tongue, to the word of God. So I would say, you will love me one day. We will have a good marriage one day. And although he would go out for weekends, I would literally help him get ready to go meet a side chick by ironing his clothes and getting him ready for the night. And these are all things I was graced to do. I would not encourage anybody to do that unless you are graced by God to do this.
This is how it looks when you have no self-worth, no self-respect. Like Vindictive Tiger said, this is nothing to be proud of. And this isn't even the worst part. This isn't even the most shocking thing that this woman has said. or the man has said. I just wanted to make sure we're all still on the same page here. A little palate cleanser to break it up because, oh my gosh. Um, let's see, Carol Smith. Recently, I saw an interview. I know it's an old interview. I think it was done shortly after the UK. And one of the persons being interviewed said that Meghan was totally not what they expected at all. Well, yeah, they said that she actually came to work. They were shocked that she sent emails. The emails that she sent was the catalyst of the bullying accusations because she sent emails. Nobody had ever gotten emails from anyone before. Chat GPT took care of everything. There were no questions. Nobody ever asked anything of them. They just had to show up once or twice a month, roll in at noon, leave at 3. That was the schedule. Nobody ever expected anything as far as like work that had to be done. It was all just automated with AI, and it showed.
I would come home 2-3 days later, my clothes would be bleached. Yeah. I would find my toothbrush floating in the toilet. Mm-hmm. So, and then the blessing is that she wasn't home because she would have probably died. Oh, wisdom. Yeah, wisdom says you leave after you do that. I'm looking at my K-Swiss back then. I'm looking at my IOU sweater, my jeans. Yeah, I bleached it all. I bleached. And so weeks later, now I'm coming home 2-3 days later, and she's like, "What do you want for dinner?" He's like, "Oh, don't eat that. You gonna poison me." I said, "She's gonna kill me." Right. I'm sleeping with one eye open. Yes. I read his bathwater. You're too nice right now. Yes. I'm like, wait a minute now. You know, I've been gone for 72 hours. Yes. Why you treat me nice? Right. You wanna? Then I'm looking to make sure she don't throw grease on me. Right. You know, all of that. But then I started waking up with crosses on my head. Because the mothers of the church said, pray for him with anointed oil.
Okay, that's enough of that. Shocking. Shocking. I was jaw on the floor, shocked. My flabber was gafted hearing this. And she's sprinkling in all this Jesus and God talk so that it seems like she has a higher purpose and reason to do this. Like it's God inspiring her to literally be putting her life at risk. Did you hear the man that said she's lucky she wasn't home because she would have been dead? He was ready to end her over some bleached K-Swiss shoes and a sweater. He was ready to end her. And she's using all of this religious talk around the violence and abuse that she was being put through at the hands of this individual. This is when you have a negative number of self-respect. It's beyond 0. 0 has bottomed out, and you're now in the negatives. I just wanted to like show this because this is the polar opposite of what we're talking about. And this is what happens when you're a pick-me Karen like Kate, but your man is not the future King of England. Because I think William is just as violent as this man. So I'm just like, okay, this is what it looks like when you don't have a shred, not a single iota of self-respect. And it's really sad. Anne McLeod, thank you so much for joining the chat. Happy Thursday. The paparazzi used to poke their tongues out to Harry so that he'd do it back to them. Yeah. They did. They really did. They used to provoke him and his mom to make sure that they got that reaction. And how horrible is that? How horrible is that? TNO, these two couples are night and day. Yeah. This is what it looks like, ladies, when you are so deeply in like a psychosis when you're so man centered, when you're basically, this is Kate Middleton, except that this girl's husband isn't William. Cookies and cream, I'm sorry, there's no way I would have stayed and put up with that nonsense. I would have subjected myself to this. I wouldn't have subjected myself to that disrespect. She had no self respect. She still doesn't. She still doesn't. Because again, I told you guys this isn't even the worst. If you think you're shocked now, this isn't even the worst part of it. Okay, the craziness that she has been through, and people said, oh, you're just taking it out of context. There was a clip. The clip that went viral is when she was saying that she ironed her husband's clothes to go and meet his side chick. That's the clip that brought my attention to this story. That's the clip that went viral. And the people that are defending this were saying, oh, well, you didn't hear the whole thing. You got to you got to hear the whole thing. It was taken out of context. Okay, that's why I played this extended clip. Let's hear everything that they're talking about, and it's worse. Hmm. Carmen, I have to say, I was so happy that Meghan has always been a person of integrity and love. UK media couldn't find anything on Meghan, and they tried their best. They did. They absolutely did. They sent a private investigator out there. They got her social security number. They ran a thorough background check and everything, and they couldn't find a thing. And I think that's the reason why they were really also very mad, because she's so clean. For a Hollywood actress, for a human being, for anybody, she has zero skeletons. She's never done anything publicly wrong. Nobody had anything negative to say to her about her privately, like nothing. They couldn't find a single soul. So they had to go and try to bribe Simon Rex with $70,000 to lie, and the only thing that they could even do was try to bribe him to lie that they say that they hooked up, which, okay, if they had hooked up, so she's not free to hook up with men. She's an adult. So a girl can't have a boyfriend? A girl can't, have a few one night stands? Like, what's wrong with that? But luckily for Meghan and for all of us, that Simon Rex also had the integrity and the better sense than to lie. But they couldn't even make up like a good lie. If I were offering a person $70,000, the thing that would make people turn against her is not that she slept with him. That is not a lie that would cause anyone to be clutching their pearls. I mean, what's so bad about that? He's a good-looking man. He was her co-star at one point. Why would that be a salacious article to put out there? Like, if they had hooked up, wouldn't that have been a normal Hollywood hookup cast mates type of situation? Like, who would have found that sensational? If that were me, I would have offered Simon Rex $70,000 to say Meghan punched him in the face. This was where we're at. This is where we're at in the story. So, to the left of you is a woman who has self respect and would not let even a prince, a real bona fide prince, talk to her anyhow the first time. The first time Harry talked to her anyhow, she was like, sir. The first time William talked to her anyhow, she said, get your finger the F out of my face right now. Like, she's not Kate. She's not going to let a man of any status, she didn't give a darn who the man was, whether it was William, whether it was Harry. She was not going to let anybody disrespect her. And this is how it looks when you follow that path. To the left of your screen is how it looks when you follow a path of self respect. She didn't care whom she was dealing with. And then on the right of your screen is a woman who has no self respect. And this is the path that she's on. This is how it looks. Look at how she's looking in this still photo. Saving face. That smile has so much pain behind it. And again, this isn't even the worst part of the whole interview at all. This is not the worst part of the interview. I know you're shocked, and I was shocked too, but we're going to get into the worst part right now. Black Queen, thank you so much for joining our chat and for the super sticker. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Thanks, hon.
Trigger a lot of women. Mm-hmm. They're gonna look at it like, see, that's that struggle love they talking about. I don't want it. Right. I don't want the struggle love. I don't want to have to deal with a man that has to go through all that and me lower my standard, lower my value, lower everything that I know that I am as a woman to work through the motivation of a man for a man to be in this broken state, disrespectful, calling me out my name, parading women in front of me, and then I'm gonna pray for his deliverance and pray. No, God, I need the reformed man. Bring me the man that after he's been set free and delivered. I don't want that process.
They want that finished product.
So my question to you, because only you can say that, what would you? Because I don't even want to say advice. How can you reframe or state? Because this is your story. This is your journey.
My story.
It's your story.
Right. Sure.
What would you say to the women that may be looking at this and say, "See, that's that nonsense they talking about"?
Well, I would say that's why you're single still, because I'm sure somebody had been in your life already.
You know, pick the fight. You know?
And you didn't want to give the investment for that person to become somebody, and then you lost them probably a long time ago.
In the Igbo culture, we have a saying for this, is "Fiakwa." When she said that he asked her, what would you say to other girls other women who might hear this and say, I don't want that. I don't want that struggle love. I don't want that in my life. Her response was, oh, well, that's why you're single. Girl, if you don't go sit down, so this is the prize for you? A man by any means is better than being single? What's wrong with being single, first of all? But second of all, this man threatened to unalive you over some K-Swiss, and you're telling us that's why you're single? What's why we're single? Because we don't want to be unalived by a man cheating, dogging us out, telling us he doesn't love us, he wish he never married us, he hates us? That's why we're single. I just could not believe my ears. I could not believe my ears. And this whole interview, nothing ever got better. Everyone kept saying it's being taken out of context. You need to watch the full context, listen to the full context. Are you kidding me? The full context is horrifying. Pennywise. Okay? The full context is Pennywise horror. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't have any worst enemies, but even if I did, I would not wish this on them. I don't wish this on anybody. It's so bad to think that you don't deserve anything other than sticking it out with a person who is harmful physically, mentally, and you know what? Cheating isn't just about the emotional harm. There's a very physical danger. You catch something that you can't shake, and that's it. You catch something that penicillin won't take care of, and that's it. It presents a very real physical threat to your life that you stay with a person who's cheating on you, and not because of emotions, but because if they give you something, if they bring home something to you, that's it. You have to be able to think better of yourself. You have to be able to respect yourself more than this. It's so unfortunate that this woman believes that this is a path that God called her on. It's horrifying. It's horrifying that God wouldn't have called him on a path, not to dog her out like this. Carmen, UK newspaper put out an article. What if Harry had married Chelsea B instead of Meghan? They tried every attempt to try to erase Meghan from Harry's life. Chelsea B. Chelsea Davy? Was there a different Chelsea? I'm gonna assume you meant Chelsea Davy, right? Yeah. And the problem with Chelsea, she was a nice enough girl, but it's crazy that they would even say that because, hello, you guys made Chelsea's life miserable too. You guys were tracking her vehicle with GPS. You were doing everything you possibly could because it doesn't matter. It didn't matter who Harry actually was with. You guys hated Harry for some reason back then. You really hated Harry to the point where any woman he crossed paths with, you made sure to disrupt that relationship. So I don't even understand why you're coming out talking about some, what if he had married Chelsea instead? You would have made her life miserable. And I think that's ultimately what ended to their breakup. If I remember Spare correctly, who could deal with that? Luckily, Megan is the type of woman who's very self-assured and knows herself and knows the stability of her mentality, so she could endure. And luckily, Harry is the type of man who made decisions that helped her endure, namely leaving. But the fact of the matter is, Chelsea didn't have that in her, and she also didn't have that option either, because she herself, well, I don't think she was English, right? I think they said that she was from like Zimbabwe or something like that. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Chelsea was also an African adjacent white woman. So I could be mistaken, but I feel like Chelsea was from Zimbabwe or like Kenya or something like that. But like, she couldn't just run away. You know what I mean? She was an English presenting individual, and I think her family had some established roots in there. So she couldn't just pick up and leave the way that Meghan had an exit route. So it was easy for Harry to present that exit route because Meghan already had those roots in America and Canada, where they fled to initially. Um, Black Queen, Pick Me Woman, sad. Isn't that the saddest thing you've ever seen? I've seen some things, boy. Let me tell you, boy. I done seen some things in my day. I have seen some pick me things in my time, but I have never, ever heard of a woman ironing her husband's clothes so that he could go and cheat, get him ready to go and see his mistress. And it wasn't some sort of like poly situation where everybody was doing it ethically. I had never heard a woman just say, I got my husband's clothes ready for his mistress. I'll probably always be shook by that. I'll probably always be shook by that. But girl, Black Queen, you said it. Sad. Happily single. Are you kidding me? Happily single. The peace that we experience in our home with these snacks and our pets and our clean furniture and the good night's rest and everything being where it should be and no holes in the wall. And these people have children. They have like 5 children. So you mean to tell me that him doing all of that in front of your children was okay? It again, it's not just a mental and emotional toll. You're talking about children watching their father and mother go through this. She spoke earlier about how she would chase him out of the house and how she had jumped on the hood of his car and he'd be still driving with her on the hood of his car. You got 5 kids watching that happen. You think that's better? You think it's better for them to be traumatized like that so long as you've got your man? And the same goes with, any parent that is considering or does quote unquote stay for the children. That vitriol and violence that you display in front of them, you think that is better than them not seeing that and growing up in separate homes from you two? And I'm not advocating for anyone to do, get divorced or whatever, but I don't understand how, when children are brought into the mix, the excuse is that you want to keep the home together for them. But look at what the home is. Look at what the home is that you are bringing them up in. That's better for them than not seeing that and you guys being separated. Sure, Jan. Rhonda Bryant, struggle love leads to graveyard love. Girl, he said it. He said it out of his own mouth. Had she been there, she'd have been done. It'd have been done.com for her, /final. And she's just laughing. They're just laughing. Every time she told a horrific account of something she had gone through, the 2 men were just giggling, laughing. She was talking about how she'd hide the keys and all the things, and they're just laughing, cracking up like it's just the funniest, like she's telling a rom-com story about some goofy antics of star-crossed lovers. TNO, it benefits the media to create and nurture angst for a profit. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the same everywhere you look, but this is something else. This is not media intrusion. This is them. This is their story and their testimony, and it's horrifying. And I don't know what they were paid to do this, but there's no money in the world. There's no amount of money in the world worth this. Carmen, I think they're trying to show people's testimony before salvation. However, the message of Jesus Christ is lost. This is too much about the crazy life choice and not enough about God. What I resent is that she's calling God's name in this testimony as if God is the one that's responsible for her actions and not her. And then did you hear her when she said, oh, I knew it was a demonic spirit in him? Why is it God calling you to suffer and then the demon calling him to do the wrong thing? Why isn't ever the role reversed? It's never the roles are reversed. So I don't appreciate that, because all it does is drill into women's minds that you need to suffer to be with a man. And like she said at the end of that first clip, oh yeah, because the women in the church told me to pray over him and put anointing oil. So the women in the church heard all the things and still told you, make this work. It's never the reverse. It is never the man's job to keep the house together, not cheat, or if the wife is out there cheating, accept that, pray over that, accept her, help her not cheat anymore. It's always the woman having to suffer for the relationship. That's what I don't like. It can be a testimony if you want it to be, that's perfectly fine. But why is it that the grace is always extended for the man and the woman is always expected to suffer like this? And then she's saying God made her do that. The devil made him do what he did, and God's making me do what I do. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's not true at all. You are a pick-me. You want a man no matter what you have to go through. And it's not even about you at this point. You have 5 children that are watching this happen. You have daughters and sons who are watching this happen. And you're proud of that because your needs are more important. Ladies, have some self-respect. Please have some self-respect. Nothing is worth that first calling you out your name. The very first time he says something crazy to you. I know it might sound a little picky and finicky, but I promise you, do what Meghan did. Say, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. That is not going to fly. Shut it down expeditiously, immediately. Shut that down. Don't worry if you lose him. If you lose a man that tells you something crazy, calls you out of your name, and you tell him not to do that, and he chooses to leave, that man does not ever want to get better. He wants a woman that he can abuse. And if you set a boundary with him and it causes him to leave because he cannot abuse you, you are not losing anything at all. TNO, Harry had to deal with his relationship with Meghan because she wouldn't deal with him otherwise at all. At all. And in fact, if you remember in the documentary, even before it got to that point, Harry was talking about when he first saw her resume. He described it as dizzying. And the next thing he said was, I have to step my game up. So Harry knew from the jump that Meghan was not a woman that would put up with bum behavior, dusty behavior, nonsense. He felt, even as accomplished as he was, and not just as a prince, by that time he had already established Invictus Games. He was a very accomplished on his own man, like remove the princely title. He himself was a military veteran of a decade. He had established Invictus Games. He was a very, on paper, accomplished man. And then he saw Meghan's resume and said, I have to step this game up a little outfit. Like, game recognized game immediately. And then when he disrespected her that first time, she shut that down immediately. And I think it caused him to respect her even more. It caused him to look at her and say, yeah, this is the one right here. This is the one I want to raise my children. Yeah. So, gosh, I want to show you guys one more clip that really kind of drives home this point of self-respect and being a woman of substance and a woman of worth, because these guys don't care. Okay, Harry is a 1 in a million man. He's probably a 1 in a billion man, because you see his brother. It's not because he's a prince and it's not because he's rich. He himself, his character, is 1 in probably a billion men, because men will always choose themselves. And I think this next clip really drives home that point. Let me pull it up.
One conversation that I often think about when I was going through my breakup with my ex-fiance, I remember me being very upset because he called the wedding off. And I said to him, there are a lot of things that he did within the 10 years of our relationship that I just let go and I moved on from. And he's letting one thing ruin everything that we built. That man told me, it's not my fault that you ain't know how to choose yourself. I do. I play that conversation in my head every time I need a reminder to choose me. Listen, choose yourself, because at the end of the day, everybody else is anyway.
Choose yourself. Choose yourself. There is nothing selfish about that. There is nothing self-centered about that. When you choose yourself, this is what it looks like. So you have a choice. You can end up like that pastor's wife, pretending like you are not dying a little bit inside every day, or you can choose yourself and look like this. I feel like very often women are expected to put themselves last. I feel like in that family, Meghan was also expected to swallow her feelings, swallow the abuse, put herself last, prioritize the monarchy, prioritize her work with the monarchy, forget about herself entirely, and just put everyone but herself first. And the problem that they had is that she would not do that. So very, very crazy lessons here. I don't want to end on this like shocking note that we're on, because it's like, ooh, it's such a like, it's very depressing when you think about it. But I do love to see the revolution that women are going through of choosing themselves. I love to see this more stories like this young lady here that we just saw the clip of how her fiance said, hey man, that's on you. You put me first and I didn't ask you to do that. But when it came time to choose between putting myself first or you, I'm gonna choose me every time. So she learned it the hard way. A person that she was with for 10 years. But I am glad that there are testimonies like this so that more women are able to come to terms with the fact that they've been gaslit their whole life to put themselves last. And it's never served us, and it never will. I do want to play one last clip, and then we're going to go ahead and get the heck out of here, let you guys enjoy your evening. Meghan is continuing her Instagram posts, and she just released another post about the Archwell Parents Foundation, and they're doing some really amazing work, and we're going to get into that too. Hold on, let me pull up the clip. I love them, Your Honor. That is just, oh gosh. The work that they're doing is invaluable. Very powerful display that they put on there. So I just can't even talk enough about this work. This is why we love Meghan the way we love her. This is such a beautiful, productive, healing process for them. And I'm really proud of everything that they're accomplishing and doing here in New York. Carmen, we cannot blame everything on God. We have the freedom to make choices, so choose wisely. Scripture, do not be unequally yoked. Scripture, can two walk together except they agree? I don't think that that woman knows, she's just not speaking very well at all. She's just not speaking from a place of anything godly. She's not. She's just male centered. That just made me mad all over again. Cookies and cream. The Sussexes are a humble, genuine, relatable, compassionate, benevolent couple. That they are. They are all of those things. That's going to be all for today, guys. Join the squad if you haven't already. The membership link is at the top pinned to the chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Thanks once again to Black Queen for the super chat. I am so happy that all of you guys were able to come and input your opinion. It means a lot to me. Our camaraderie and our community means just so much to me. So thank you so much for joining. Whatever you're getting into this weekend, please be careful, please be safe, and always please be kind. I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.